represent. Do you think that we'll start seeing financial products mixed with collectibles and art? Like, is that something that might go together?
Yeah, why not? We're looking at creating some stuff around like NFT indices and NFT synthetics. Like, there's no real reason outside of liquidity and price discovery that I can't back my DAI with a set of CryptoPunks or Meebits or something like that.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy Boyan from Chainlink Labs. This is Chainlink Live, and today we're talking to Nick Emmons from Upshot, an NFT appraisal platform using Chainlink VRF in their process. Now, this is a really cool project. I've seen a ton about NFTs in the past few weeks and I guess months now, but this particular project is really unique, I think, in a way. They've got an upcoming launch. They've just had an exciting fundraiser announcement today, so you guys are like getting the hot news. But Nick, it's really great to have you here. Let's start with just introduce yourself briefly and tell us about Upshot. What is it, and why is it specifically so special?
Yeah, so before Upshot, quickly on myself, I was leading blockchain development at John Hancock and Manulife, which are two of the largest life insurance companies in the US and Canada. And we created some of the first kind of public blockchain projects done by large institutions at the time. Everyone was working on private blockchains, kind of scared to play around with some of the public stuff. And we built a kind of protocol on public Ethereum. And then after I left John Hancock, I got really into this field of mechanism design called peer prediction, which is it's kind of similar to prediction markets, but it's really focused on focusing people to answer questions honestly in the face of subjectivity. So these can be fundamentally subjective questions, asking you and I's opinion on something. And we were originally thinking about this within the scope of insurance, because that was kind of the context we were coming into this with. That was our background. And it quickly became apparent that it is largely applicable to many of the open problems within the kind of crypto space. And so we've been really into NFTs since kind of the beginning of NFTs. We're very passionate about NFTs, and this sort of NFT price discovery problem is such a prevalent one. And it's, I think, the last major problem before NFTs can kind of progress to their next level of adoption.
Well, and this is a key question with NFTs, like how much are they worth? And some people say like, well, they'll be worth something, and other people say I don't care, I love it, but that's kind of a core question, especially with the collectibles market. But then moving forward, as we talked about a little bit ago, like as they expand into other sorts of financial contracts or other kinds of products, how do you price these things that are they're not something you can trade? So how do you get the value for this stuff?
It's really there's going to be a diverse crowd of NFT appraisers. I think the kind of diversity and the breadth of what NFTs can accommodate and can represent on chain is really almost infinite. And so I think the important thing to focus on is developing non-market mechanisms for pricing these things. The open market relies on assets changing hands for their price to be discovered. But NFTs by definition are sort of low velocity. They don't change hands very often. And so we need to build these mechanisms that don't rely on that transfer of ownership, that don't rely on a sort of prerequisite of velocity for the underlying asset to be priced. And that's why we're building a crowdsourced appraisal platform.
Okay, so let me back up a little and make a comparison to the traditional fine art market. A piece of fine art, a painting, is worth what one person will pay for it, right? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't happen very often. It's low velocity. You don't have a ton of transactions between these. And it's a weird way to price things because it's just what one person's subjective opinion is. So let's say they want to insure that piece of art. Well, how do you know how much that's worth? It's worth what they paid for it. But is that the market rate? Maybe they're just a crazy person who really likes that. There's not a lot of a group consensus around that. And so when it comes to digital art, and especially we're seeing a lot of conversation about using NFTs as collateral, having just one person's subjective opinion doesn't make a lot of sense. So how does Upshot address this problem and come to appraise NFTs?
Yeah, so at the core of of the system is how we're leveraging peer prediction, and it's pretty simple from the user's perspective. People just come and they answer questions about NFTs, and the way we're scoring those answers is leveraging this new mutual information measure within the field of peer prediction that essentially assesses the correlation between people's answers to questions. And analyzing it in this specific way allows us to glean some insights into what honesty looks like, what informativeness versus uninformativeness looks like. And this mechanism is so powerful because it's kind of both dominantly truthful and informed truthful. So when you and I are appraising NFTs on Upshot and we're answering questions in the system, there's no strategy either of us can play that pays more than actually expending effort to provide the honest answer to something. So not guessing randomly, not trying to predict what you're going to say and influence my answer. It's like the dominant strategy to maximize my payment is actually to be honest, which is a very powerful tool in incentivizing honesty to such subjective questions, of which NFT appraisals are highly subjective questions.
So I go into Upshot and I'm given a choice as to of a couple NFTs. And I say, oh, what's more valuable? Is that it? Is it as straightforward as that?
It's pretty straightforward. So there are those types of questions, like comparison type questions, which play a bit like hot or not or face mash. And then there are like multiple choice questions where you're given a single NFT and a range of prices to choose from. But the underlying mechanism holds across all these types of questions. You're answering these, and on a regular basis, your answers are being compared to other people's answers and scored using this new mutual information measure.
So I'm no NFT expert. I'm in the field, but I'm not like an expert and certainly not an appraiser. So, but I can go in and I give my judgment based on what I know about NFTs. And okay, so my answers are one part of this group collective, a peer consensus mechanism on appraisal price. So I'm in the social science field where we do you take measures and you mash them together and you try and find a true common factor to get at a real attitude score, for example. This is what this seems like. It's like a valued attitude score.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, and it's. I'm glad that you touched on some of the expertise aspects of this, because incentivizing honesty is just half of the equation in actually producing reliable appraisals. It's not honesty alone that results in correctness. It's honesty plus expertise that leads to correctness. And so what we're doing as well is we're sort of identifying NFT experts based on their on-chain interactions with different NFTs to essentially weight their responses higher than people who maybe are less expert.
But so I can go in as a non-expert and I can give my opinion. And if my thoughts, my valuations are in line with most everybody else's, and it seems to match up with a general appraisal, I'm rewarded. To uphold incentivizes me somehow?
Yeah. So you're getting paid for these appraisals. Quickly on that, you're not strictly paid for correlation. You're also, the mechanism is nice because it can identify sort of nuanced disagreements between answers as well. So actually a lack of correlation in some areas can result in higher profit. But yeah, people can pay for appraisals, and they can do this in a couple of different ways. We can go into how they do this, but yeah.
Well, generally, so measures of association like this are pretty robust statistically. And so participation is probably the key point. You need data, right? You need data into the algorithms to spit out something that's good. And so you can find out who's being honest over time and who's, especially with a large sample size like that. Well, that's just so cool. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah, and quickly on that's part of what makes this determinate mutual information measure so powerful. Is it's both the first informed truthful mechanism that is like both dominantly truthful, informed truthful, and with a constant number of tasks. So we can actually incentivize informed truthfulness as the dominant strategy with just greater than 2C questions being asked to greater than or equal to 3 users, and C being the number of possible choices. So if it's a yes/no question, a comparison question, things like this, we answer 4 questions across 3 people, and we have informed truthfulness as the kind of equilibrium that the thing should result in.
If our audience is having trouble following the math like in this format, there is a white paper. You can go check it out on all their sites. Hey, everybody, if you've come in late, my name's Andy Boyan, Chainlink Labs. This is Chainlink Live, and we were talking to Nick Emmons from Upshot. They are releasing an NFT appraisal platform. which is a really cool idea. It brings NFTs to the platform, lets people judge them and evaluate them to give an appraisal price, a more robust and essentially decentralized price on that NFT, so that it can be more trusted in, like, how much is that worth if you're using it in something like collateral, or you're trying to insure it in some way, or whatever other kind of use case. Feel free to ask questions. We've got the YouTube chat here that we're monitoring, and we're going to keep talking about a lot of this stuff. I had a list of questions, Nick, and I just got excited, so just got into it because this is really really interesting stuff. Chainlink VRF. So you guys are using Chainlink VRF to randomly select members of committees so that appraisals come through. Can you talk about that process a little bit?
Yeah, so there's going to be a large volume of answers coming through the system, a large volume of users appraising NFTs. And if we were to score them all with each other, because we're comparing each user against each other, it would just be this fairly intractable computational task. And also, it makes it fairly easy to sort of overtake the population of appraisers, because you know exactly which appraisers are going to be scored to which degree, et cetera. And so what we do to both increase efficiency and security of the system, increase the cost of bribery, collusion, things like this, we use the VRF to randomly select a very small subset of appraisers to actually score. As I said before, all you need is greater than or equal to 3 people to uphold that informed truthfulness as a property of the mechanism. And so we're selecting committees of 3 to 5 appraisers for each of these events called scoring rounds, when people's answers are compared against each other, and those become the appraisers who have their answers considered, who get paid, et cetera. So yeah, that's how we're leveraging it.
So you're using randomization. It's a security measure. There's no way to predict who is influencing, because if you can predict who's going to give an appraisal and whose answer is going to count, then there's the potential for bribery or corruption. And so if it's me, right, if you know it's going to be me and you slip me an extra hundo to, appraise this really low so that you can get a good price on it, well, that's gaming the whole system, and that's something we really want to avoid. We want to make a fair and transparent system. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Cool. So in general, NFTs, they have not gone away over the past month, right? They really exploded in the public imagination. What is it about them that is just taking over the public's excitement, like the retail normies, they call them sometimes? What is it about NFTs that are really catching on right now?
I think, for one, they're just kind of fun. A lot of the collectibles, a lot of the art, it's just fun to roll the dice and see what kind of collectible you get, to compare your collectibles against someone else's, things like this. I think another big catalyst for so much of the mainstream coming into crypto through NFTs is it's the avenue by which a lot of big celebrities are getting into NFTs, just artists, musicians, things like this. They're getting into NFTs, they're producing works through NFTs, and they have these massive followings that are willing to follow them into sort of uncharted territory in a way that people who are passionate about different financial firms aren't necessarily willing to do as different DeFi use cases pick up. And so I think that's why we've seen this massive flood of mainstream users through NFTs, and will continue to.
We talked earlier about different kinds of use cases besides art and collectibles, and IP, intellectual property, seems like one of those things as well. So artists, musicians, I'm thinking, come in and they think, well, if I can have my song catalog in it, I don't want it to be fungible. I don't want to trade my songs with other people. Like it's not a token, but that thing has unique value, and I do want to digitize that. That seems like a perfect use case for Upshot. Honestly, like somebody brings their catalog, an artist that brings their catalog to the platform, and let experts evaluate that. How much is that worth? Oh man, there's just so many exciting use cases. Other things you're seeing or thinking about I'm sure you guys are brainstorming like all the weird stuff you could see on Upshot.
Yeah, we're doing some pretty out there stuff just at the intersection of DeFi and NFTs. When you can reprice NFTs on a regular basis, when you remove the need for them to change hands for them to be repriced, you can create all sorts of pretty cool and exotic financial products. Like NFT synthetics, I think, are going to be this new asset class that starts to gain traction over the next couple of months and years. NFT indices already have, but I think with appraisals, you'll start to see this whole design space kind of blow open around those. Underwriting debt against NFTs, the intersection of NFTs and DeFi, I think is going to be a massive field within the space.
Yeah, I got another example. I bought an NFT, well, I don't know when, a couple months ago, and I don't want to sell it, but the only way I have to evaluate its price is to compare it to other similar NFTs. Mm-hmm. And by nature, they're supposed to not be very similar. So like I'm kind of at this, I don't know what to do about this. I have this one, and I don't know how to consider it as part of my a general portfolio. Is it worthless? I don't know. Should I put it up for sale? Like, should I put it up for collateral? I don't have a good mechanism to do that. And I don't have a good mechanism to do that without showing off my key, my public key too. Like, maybe I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, come and look at this. How much do you think it's worth? I don't know. Something about that just doesn't feel like something I want to do. So another platform like this is interesting. Can you tell us about from the appraisee's side, the person getting their NFT appraised? How does that work? Like, do I upload it myself, or what's the process there?
So the nice thing about appraisals is the NFT doesn't have to be held anywhere by anyone. You can just sort of point to an NFT you'd like appraised, maybe fund it to move it to the top of the stack to incentivize appraisers kind of sufficiently to appraise it, and then it'll just be appraised. And it's really nice. You don't have to even disclose that you're the owner of it or that you're the one who owns it. It's just people looking at an NFT, looking at an image and a set of attributes around that image and giving their opinion about what it's worth. And so it's pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, that's smart for maybe I don't own it, but I'm looking to buy it, or mm-hmm. I want to know whether or not how much to insure somebody if I'm an insurer or a member of an insurance DAO or something like that.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about what's coming up next for Upshot? I know you guys have a kind of a beta coming up, or what's your launch plan? Like, what's the next couple of weeks look like? Oh, actually, before we do that,
sure.
Let's talk about the raise. You had some big news today about your raise.
Yeah. So we just raised a Series A that was co-led by Framework, Coin Fund, and Blockchain Capital, and there's a bunch of other really prominent funds and investors in the NFT space involved in it. So we just raised. We're pretty excited about it.
Congratulations! Nice to have some runway and build the things that I'm going to ask you about next.
Yeah,
I was excited about the announcement. I read this and I was like, this is really interesting.
Perfect timing for this too. You know.
Hey, it works out. What is next? Like in the next couple of weeks, but then again, longer in the future. Kind of what are your longer term goals with this?
Yeah. So on Tuesday, we're going to be opening up the platform kind of publicly. This is going to be a bit of an open beta period, just to continue to get some feedback on the product, refine it, start to build up this mass of appraisers that are on the platform appraising different pieces. And we're going to do this for a couple of weeks just to make sure like we really are providing the types of information that appraisers need to appraise these things accurately, that we're featuring the assets that people are interested in appraising and getting appraised in the right places on the product, things like this. And then we'll be kind of launching it more officially a few weeks to a month later, after we've kind of responded to that feedback and iterated on it a bit. And over the kind of months that follow, we'll be working on some pretty cool things, like I mentioned, at the intersection of DeFi and NFTs. So actually building our own DeFi products around NFT synthetics. We have some pretty cool stuff that's pretty far along in development being done. Also just trying to lower or decrease price opaqueness around the places that people interact with NFTs. So talking to a lot of the NFT marketplaces or portfolio trackers, projects like this, looking to kind of provide these more real-time price feeds for the users at the places when they need them the most, you know?
That sounds awesome. Well, you guys certainly have a really exciting, couple of weeks as you get this public beta going, and we will make sure to get our viewers access to that. Is that how we're working this? Yes, we can't get access.
Yes. And there will be a pretty exciting giveaway for the top appraisers over the first couple of weeks that may or may not involve a CryptoPunk as part of a kind of a big giveaway to the top appraisers.
Okay, so, well, we got a little bit of a leak here. I like that.
Yeah, heard it here first.
That's awesome. Well, Nick, our audience has been viewing. We don't have questions today, but you and I have taken this away just fine. You can tell my enthusiasm. I'm going to get on Upshot for sure and check it out and participate, do some appraisals. I'm sure we will see you at NFT events around crypto as well. You guys are clearly a needed product and solution in the space, and so I'm looking forward to seeing more from you. Where can people follow you? Where's your community located?
Yeah, so we're largely on Discord, so you can join our Discord at just discord.gg/upshot, and then on Twitter at Upshot HQ. Those are the two best places. And then you can come check out the app, and if you reach out to us on Discord, either me or Derek, you'll find in the Discord, we can get you some closed beta access ahead of next week as well.
Awesome. Well, we've got some links in the chat that my friend Mark is putting in there, and we'll make sure to have plenty in the description so you guys can follow Upshot and, of course, join their communities. It's one of the easiest things you can do to help these projects grow and turn into the next stage of financial, artistic, or whatever it is development. Also, join Chainlink community channels, our Discord, our Telegram, where you'll have more announcements like these, and tune in for more Chainlink live episodes coming soon. Nick, thank you for being here with me.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you guys next time on Chainlink Live.